And then we'll get some more students in the Skool group to join. So if you guys access the live through the Skool group, because then you see more of people's comments and questions, and there's usually like 30 or 50 of us live in the Skool group at one time, since we have like over 200 members. So that's where you'll see all the engagement happen, is like in our Skool group. If you're on like Instagram or something, or the Facebook page, like you're going to see 2 people on there because we don't focus on those platforms. We really just scale our YouTube or the Skool group. So like watch this live either in the Skool group or the YouTube, then you can interact with other people and stuff and see all the questions kind of come through. Okay. So in just a moment, we should get some more people that come through. Since I just texted everyone like 2 minutes ago or 1 minute ago, so we'll get more people to hop on here, and then I will answer. Let me answer all the Skool questions first from our Skool members that actually pay, and then once I answer their 10 questions, I'll just answer everybody's questions in the comments. So that's kind of the plan. All right. So that's what we'll do here in just a second. Let me grab something. One sec here. One sec. What's up, GPS Global? That's a cool name. What's up, South Florida Locator? Let's see. Ghost tours will apply. I'll get into your ghosting question in just a second. You're asking like, what do you say to a client that ghosts you after tours and still doesn't apply? Yeah, I'll answer that and blow your mind in like just a second. We use Locator IQ automation to do that for us for 30 days. But one sec, let me answer that in a moment. Yeah, ghosting seems like it's a big issue. In fact, I'll answer that and then I'll screen share and show you what I'm talking about to like defeat ghosting automatically. It's going to be good. This will be a good Q&A for you. Just stick around. This Q&A will officially start in like 4 minutes while more and more people are joining now that I sent off the text. Okay, so let me go ahead and play. Let me play the intro video. One sec. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, I will be right back. Welcome to the live Q&As. In this live stream, you can ask me anything you want. I'm an expert when it comes to apartment locating, digital marketing, paid advertising, organic tactics, really everything in the real estate industry or digital marketing industry. Why do we choose to be locators over realtors? The reason we choose to leverage our real estate license and specifically become locators over realtors is because the job is easier and we can make more money. That's just the quick answer. Nowadays, locators average closer to 80K a year. Okay, some make way more, some make less. And then realtors average 50K, which is a little higher than what the old average, I think, was 45K for realtors for like the longest time. Now that's increased to 50K. But hey, locators average 80. So I was saying this to everyone years ago. No one really believed me except for our students. But nowadays, what's really exciting is that you can just go to Indeed or Glassdoor or ask ChatGPT, and it'll just prove that for you. Locators make more money because the business is easier. All right. While realtors have to deal with so many steps before they close a client, locators, we can just post a bunch of free ads, take 10-minute Zoom calls, send the clients by themselves. They drive by themselves to the apartments. They write our name down, and that's our commission right there. What's even more amazing is that we're positioning ourselves as agents, helping our clients during the first stage of home ownership. Because what do you think people do before they buy a house? They rent an apartment. That's the natural first step evolution before someone saves a bunch of money, advances in their career, and then decides to buy a house. So it's really amazing if you're following along is that, yes, the business is easier. We can make more money, but inevitably, as long as you've got a CRM like that's sophisticated, you can automatically nurture relationships with your renter clients that are already making you 6 figures. You can nurture that relationship, extract more referrals from their friends or family, and do the same easy job of referring them to an apartment. But what's amazing is that once these renters evolve and become first-time home buyers, it's so much easier to work with the same client that already has a business relationship with you. So that's how you can kind of take that renter lead, evolve it into a first-time home buyer, and that's 10 or 20K a pop. That's why we're so excited about this industry. Anyhow, welcome to the Q&As. In just a second, it will start, and then you'll get to ask me whatever you want live. See you real soon. How do I expand? There we go. I need to make that intro shorter. All right. You guys like my NAL hat? Can someone please confirm if they can hear me now that we've officially started? Actually, we're 30 seconds away, but if someone can just comment like, yeah, I can hear you, that would actually help me a lot. One time I went through a 15-minute like streak of answering a bunch of questions, and then I looked at the comments and someone was like, yo, we couldn't hear you for the last 15 minutes. So it would be really awesome if someone could just comment like, I can hear you again. Yes. What's up, Felix? How are you, sir? Thanks for hopping on here. What's up, GPS Global? What's up, Casa Apartment Locator out in Fort Lauderdale? I'm going to get to everyone's questions right now. Just pop them in the comments. And also reminder, like if you're in the Skool group or YouTube, then there should be more of us in here. But if you're streaming on the Facebook page or Instagram, there's just less. Okay, let's see. All right, I've got the questions, and so now I will answer. Well, let's see here. Let's see. Okay. All right, cool. So Sarah is asking, how do I actually get paid as a locator? Who pays me, and how long does it take to receive commissions? That's a good question. So welcome actually to the Skool group. You're probably super new if you're asking this question, but hopefully others can get a chance to learn as well. So as locators, you're kind of like a buyer's agent. It's a free service that you offer for regular people looking to rent regular apartments. Okay. And yeah, it's more basic compared to being a realtor, but you can literally earn more money. It's already proven. So that's cool. Who pays a locator? Properties have budgets for marketing set aside, like advertising. And out of that advertising budget, they use that to pay locators. So the building actually pays locators directly from their advertising budget that they have set aside. So that's why the service stays free to the client, kind of like a buyer's agent. Now, the reason they do pay locators is because when you really think about like the options, like what are the options that apartment buildings have to lease all their vacancies and put money into marketing? Okay, they can do things like hire someone to sit on the corner with a sign, we're leasing now, right? Come on in. That's not very effective. Or they can hire an expensive ad agency to run ads for them and then, help them fill vacancies that way. The problem is that like now that property or that apartment building has to pay very expensive ad agency retainers up front without leases signed. That's another option. Another option that I see apartment complexes doing is they hire their own in-house like media buyer to run their own Google campaigns and social campaigns for ads. That's like the average salary for a media buyer, one that's competent, is like $100,000 a year before they get signed leases. So these are like the traditional options that apartments have to do marketing campaigns, or they can just spin up guerrilla marketing, but that still costs money up front. So the beautiful part about working with locators is that these apartments are like, wait a second, we can just work with locators, pay them 1 month out of the year contract after the locator refers a client and their client or their referral signs a lease with us. So no, there is no other method where a building can receive a signed contract and then pay like the first month the tenant pays rent, that kind of goes to us as commission, but they're paying after the lease is signed. So those deals or that transaction is always profitable and it keeps the building liquid. Like they don't have to come out of pocket and hope that their marketing efforts work. They pay locators after our clients sign a lease. So it's never a loss. So that's why buildings like working with apartment locators. That's why this whole business exists, is they would rather pay an agent to bring them a signed lease and then pay a month after, right? So then the next part of Sarah's question is like, how long does it take to receive commissions? Apartment locating collections, it's not that it's hard, but it's mismanaged and disorganized. So If you're with an apartment locating brokerage firm that specifically knows apartment locating and does apartment locating, you're going to get paid fast. Like the fastest I've ever been paid was like 10 days. Highline in North Austin paid me like 10 days. So it is possible to get payment in under 2 weeks, but that's kind of rare. Normally it's like 1 month or 2 months you can receive your commission. Right. So that's important to talk about, because when you first start in this business, there is a period where you have to work full time. And for like 2 months, you might not get a check. Right. But then right after that 60-day period, that's tough because you got bills and everything. Right after that, if you've been consistently working, then the checks just come in like a few a week, then you're good. So it's all about getting past that first like 60-day period where you're doing all these leases, but like no income is happening, right? That's just true in all of real estate. In fact, being a realtor is worse. Sometimes it takes like 6 months before you close your first house. And it's just how it goes, right? So it's not perfect, but locating is still easier than being a realtor. Hopefully that helps answer your question. All right, question number 2, and then I'll get to the comments, I promise. What's the best way to find apartments that actually work with locators, and how do I know which complexes will pay? All of that goes down in the locator database. So a big misperception is people think you have to go call around apartment buildings and ask them. Not really. Not if you're in an outside market, yes, you have to do that and build your own Google Sheet database. But like if you're in Texas or Florida or Colorado or Arizona or Atlanta or like Chicago and one other state that I forgot, if you're in those, there's database coverage. So you don't have to call around. The database just shows you the commissions that all of the apartments pay. So then you just create a list on your database, email it to your client, and you already know the ones, you select the ones that like pay high, or that's relevant to your client. So it all goes down in the locator database. Now, we do have students like out in Maryland, Virginia. We actually have someone in the US Virgin Islands. And out there, one of our students kind of informed us that it's all private landlords in the US Virgin Islands. But she was just so impressed with the simplicity of this business that she just gave it a shot and just invested in our program. And we were like, okay, you're out in the US Virgin Islands. We're like, we don't even know if we can help you there. And she's like, I get the concept. Like, I'm just going to go call around buildings, see if I can bring them tenants and if they'll pay me 1 month. And so then she had like 4 private landlords agree to do that. And she just started running ads as like the only locator in the US Virgin Islands, and then started filling vacancies. And in 4 days, she made like $4,000. And then she was really happy and excited. Because when it comes down to it, like it's not a hard business to understand. There's multifamily buildings that are being built everywhere, even in different countries. I was in Argentina visiting my family like just over a year ago, and I was walking around. Where was I? I was in Bariloche, Argentina, and there was multifamily buildings coming up. And I'm like, I bet you could do locating in Argentina. You just walk in and you're like, how about I bring you people, when they sign, you give me 1 month. Like they're going to say yes, right? And we've been seeing this in outside markets, like outside of Texas and Florida and Colorado as well, right? It's what our students do. In fact, we weren't even running ads for the program in outside markets because we're like, look, we know this is easy in Texas. So like when we run ads as a company, we just target Texas because it's the easiest state for apartment locating. But we had students join from like the outside, and they were showing us like, no, you actually can do it in the outside. It just takes that additional step of approaching the building, right? But if you've got 3 buildings that say yes, that's all it really takes for you to just keep referring and filling their vacancies and making 6 figures. Okay. Do I need to have my real estate license before I can start working with clients, or can I get started while I'm studying for it? You can definitely get started with like our teaching. The problem is like when you get your real estate license, no one teaches apartment locating. It's probably because it's a small niche. So to help you put it in a perspective, there are less than 3,000 active full-time locators compared to 1.5 million realtors. So when you put it in a perspective, it's a really, really tiny niche. So like you could start learning about it through us, but you definitely want you do have to have a real estate license to start working, and then sending lists and getting paid. The only exception to not have a real estate license is in the state of Colorado. They don't require it. But I mean, you should still be licensed anyways in Colorado, because I promise it will make everything easier. Okay. The fourth question, how do I generate leads if I don't already have a big network or social media following? Yeah, when I started my first year, I think I did 120K my first year as a locator, and I didn't have Instagram. I didn't even have an Instagram. So you don't need social media to make this work. There are organic platforms like Marketplace, Craigslist, Nextdoor, Turbo Tenant, a bunch of other ones. Rent Links used to work really great back in the day. And there's ways that you can post ads for free, have people message you, and you just call them and say, hey, you need an apartment in Cedar Park. I saw your reply. Go here. These two are doing 1 month free. And you can still push people through free ads just over the phone. The service is free anyways. And so as long as you can kind of get them out, they tour. If they write your name down, that's $2,000. So you just rinse and repeat like that strategy. So yeah, you don't need social media to do this. You just start posting organic ads while you're building up your social media. And then once you're making, I would say, at least $10,000 a month through cold or organic ads, then you want to get into paid advertisements. And then that's how you just book Zoom calls. And then the job becomes even easier than calling someone on Facebook Marketplace. So the truth is, when you first start off, you do want to leverage like Marketplace, Craigslist, using the auto poster on Craigslist that we teach. You do want to utilize that, and then also like make a presence on Nextdoor, because that's like the neighborhood that's right around you, right? So you just let everyone know, hey, I'm an agent. I specialize in helping you rent apartments. If anyone knows, or neighbors, or you have like kids that are, moving out, just send them to me. I'll help them for free. It's what I do. Like, you do want to build that presence in Nextdoor as well, the way we walk you through. So you can make 10K a month from those free methods, but then you need to step into paid ads and start running the right cold campaigns that are like direct response videos on YouTube, and then remarket to people that start your survey but never finished. And so that's where this job becomes much more predictable. You just put like X amount of money into paid ads, you have X amount of Zoom calls, and Zoom calls are like way easier than trying to message back and forth with someone on Marketplace, if that makes sense. So like, you want to build up to good infrastructure. We're using IQ for infrastructure as far as like the survey, the landing page, the calendar, Zoom, all that stuff. You need IQ to get good infrastructure, but that kind of comes later, right? So that's like the flow. Like if it's day one, post on organic, extract numbers, call them up, send them on tour. That's how you do 10K. And then you step into paid ads, and then it's all Zoom calls from there, which you'll like more anyways. Okay. The next question, let's see here. What scripts or messages should I use when I first reach out to a renter? Yeah, I mean, don't overcomplicate it. You almost don't even really need a script for locating. So like, if I'm posting ads on, I don't know, let's say Cedar Park, and I'm posting an ad on behalf of an apartment deal that I've identified by manipulating my database. If someone replies, like, hey, this looks good, I'm interested, just keep it down to earth and say, hey, yeah, let's make sure you don't miss the 1 month free. Call me. Or what's your number? I'll give you a quick call so you don't miss that 1 month free. Just keep it simple but enticing. And then when people call you, it's just a natural call. You're just like, oh yeah, hey, this is Pierre. You're looking to rent an apartment in Cedar Park? Yes. Cool. Do you want a 2-bedroom or 3? 2-bedroom? Okay, well, yeah, that one that you inquired about is doing a month free, but there's another one, Lakeline Crossing in 9520. They're doing 6 weeks free. You want to go tour them all today? This is a free service, by the way. Okay. And you just send them out, and you're just reminding them, if these worked out for you, if you can let them know that I referred you and write my name on the app, that would be great. So I can get credit from them. and it doesn't change your rent. It doesn't change any specials. Does that sound good? So, it's a free service, guys. It's like sales, but way easier because it's not like you're asking for money. You're just helping someone for free, right? So it's all about just being natural and normal with people over the phone when you're first starting off, and just reminding them to list your name on the app. You will make thousands of dollars through that alone. And then you can start learning about like what to do with paid ads, what to do with infrastructure. That comes later. And then working with Zoom calls is better. But yeah, don't worry so much about a script. It's just like post ads when you get replies, try to make it enticing. Yeah, that one's doing 1 month free. Let's make sure you don't miss it though. Give me a call. Done. Keep it simple. Number 6, what's the difference between using Smart or Spark database and just Googling apartments on my own? Well, first off, Google doesn't have the direct office line of the apartment. Your database will though. So like use Spark or Smart database. Those are the two database leader. Like, how realtors have MLS access? Like, how if you're a realtor, you basically need the MLS, right? Well, if you're a locator in one of the easy states like Texas or Florida or Colorado or something, like the easy states for locating, you still need a locator database. So the database to a locator is what the MLS is to a realtor. And locators do not need to pay for the MLS, right? So that's another benefit. But what's the question again? Oh, the differences between the three, like using a database or Google. So the phone number is more accurate referring to your database, because Google will just give you their call center number, and it's so annoying. You never get to reach the apartments. So don't use Google unless you have to. But then the other thing is the differences between Smart and Spark. Smart is kind of like the leader. They've been around the longest. And I like Smart, but also Spark is really, really good. Spark has like more accurate data, but they only cover Texas and like Chicago, I think. So Spark has slightly more accurate data. However, Smart locating is just like the leader, So I just pick between the two. You know what else is interesting? The creator, the founder of Spark was one of our original Locator Academy students. So I think that's cool to say. Okay, number 7, how do I keep track of all my leads, follow-ups, and commissions so I don't lose money by missing a step? Yeah. So Locator IQ is how you do that. We set everything up in a pipeline. So the answer to that, like how do you keep track of your leads and follow-up, is by using the IQ pipeline. It's kind of like free Trello, if you've ever used Trello before, but way more sophisticated. That's like the answer to that. Maybe I can show you. I'll show you in a moment what that looks like. Okay, number 8, what should I say to a client if they find an apartment on their own and forget to list me as their locator? Yeah, sometimes that happens. That's why it's so important to have infrastructure. The more touch points that you can remind someone to list your name down, the better. But I mean, even for me, if I'm locating full time, like still like 10%. So if I do like 20 move-ins in a month, which I can average, then like 2 people will forget to list me or something, right? And so the way you can kind of mitigate that, or just kind of solve it forever, is by having multiple touch points. So like whenever I send a list using Smart or Spark, before the client even opens the list and sees the apartment matches that I've compiled for them, there's a pop-up that comes up that's like, remember to write my name down, hit OK, and then it boots up their options. So like making that appear is important. Also on the initial call, just telling them is also important. I mean, that's like the most important thing, is like when you're doing the initial call, help them first, but then remind them at the end to write your name down. So as long as you are remembering to say that, it's also on your pop-up when they get the list. And then it's also on like automations that you can set up on IQ. That's so many touch points that most people just remember, right? But then you also want to remind them when you follow up, like right before a tour or something. If you're following up with a client and they're like about to tour, you want to remind them as well. So make an effort, but also like build it into your infrastructure, and you won't have to deal with that. Now, if someone doesn't write your name down, there is still a way to get paid. You can do things like, if you conducted a Zoom call and you have a Zoom Pro account, you can set all your calls to auto record, and then kind of showing that to a property manager and letting them know, like, hey, look, this happens sometimes. I had a client we referred, they forgot to write my name on the app, but here's the recorded Zoom call, so I did the work. Like, that's like the strongest defense that you can have, is sharing a Zoom link directly with the property manager, and like say, like, hey, can you make an exception? Look, here's a real Zoom call. So you can fix it. Another big thing we teach in our program, ALM, the Apartment Locating Masterclass, is like, if that does happen to you and like you send someone out, they apply and they forgot to write your name down, or they choose Google by accident, you can always just email the property manager, CC your client, and just put something short like, hey, John Smith, can you really quick hit reply all and just say that I was instrumental in connecting you to the apartment? It looks like you forgot to list me. I would really appreciate it. And when you email the property manager that and CC the client, what that does is it forces the property manager to be nice to you, because their own tenant is CC'd on the email. But then once they reply and go, oh yeah, my bad, I forgot. Yeah, Pierre was helpful. Like, once you have that in writing, then you can get paid anyways. And I kind of like help that process by also sharing the Zoom link that's pre-recorded. That's why I keep telling everyone, when you start getting into like using social media better or running paid advertisements straight into your Zoom, it's way better than just calling someone on Facebook Marketplace on your phone. There's so many advantages because of the recorded Zoom call for collections defense, reviewing your own Zoom calls on the clients that made you money, so like what you said that worked. So it's good to like reflect on your own Zoom calls, right? That's why a lot of locators, like, first off, understand we were the first locating company to even test Zoom the second it came out. And so once we kind of, because back in like ALM 1.0 of our program, we were just teaching manual calls and stuff. But like the second Zoom came out, we're like, oh, let's try this. And it is better than manual calls every single time. So that's how we've learned that. Okay, Zoom calls are better. You can reflect on what worked, get better as an agent. You can use it for collections defense, sharing that call with a property manager, getting paid. And, as a team leader or a company, it's then your general manager can like review all the agent calls and see where someone is lacking, right? So it's just really important to use Zoom. Just trust me on that. All right, let's see. Okay. Two more questions from the Skool students, and then I can answer the comments, okay, on YouTube. All right, John is asking, what's the average income I can expect as a locator if I treat this like a part-time versus full-time? Yeah, I mean, it's funny, my head coach and I were talking about that the other day. So if you go to Indeed or Glassdoor or Simply Hired, or you ask ChatGPT, like these real sources, now it's very transparent that locators average more than realtors. You don't have to even take my word. Just go look it up after this live. So locators average like 80-ish, while realtors average 50-ish. However, averages don't really help you, because if you're someone that doesn't really treat this your first year like a 9 to 5, or I don't know, you have trouble waking up in the morning as an adult. I mean, it's kind of like sales, because most of this job title is full commission. So it's hard to help, it's hard to answer that question. Like, what can you expect to make? I don't know. I don't know. Our company goal is to get everyone to 12K a month in production or more, because we have confidently done that hundreds of times. But we have some students that do 40K plus. Like this recent student in San Antonio is just focusing on San Antonio, and he did over 40K, right? And then we have another student, they might be making 8K. So I don't know what you're going to make, but the thing is, are you coachable? Can you follow directions? Are you natural at just like talking to a stranger and being normal and making them feel like you're not trying to sell them? You're just talking to them to help them. If you're good at like speaking to people over the phone or on Zoom, then yeah, you can make thousands of dollars in this business. It's already proven by like Indeed and Glassdoor. Just go look up the average incomes. But then again, it might not work for someone where you're not good at talking to people, right? But one thing to kind of understand is that there are way harder sales jobs where you're taking sales calls and you're trying to sell people for like money. That's way 10x harder than calling a stranger and saying, "Hey, I heard you were looking to rent an apartment. Did you want to go check out these today that are doing 1 month free?" You guys, you see the difference. Just imagine the difference. Okay. You jump on a sales call, you ask a bunch of questions, and then you go, "So you want to pay me 10 grand?" That's always going to be harder than talking to a stranger and saying, "Hey, I hear you're looking to rent an apartment. You want me to send you to 2 that are doing 1 month free?" Like, which one sounds harder? Asking for 10 grand on a call or just helping someone for free? So locating is not that hard, but you do have to follow a protocol and just be like an organized person with your schedule. Don't do this part-time. Just do it full-time. You know what I mean? It's like sales, but way easier. So I would just do it full-time. You know what I mean? Don't do anything part-time. No one has ever reached any success doing anything part-time. Okay. Let's see here. How do I stand out from other locators in my market so clients actually want to work with me instead of just calling the apartment directly? Yeah, for sure. A part of that is like your approach for organic ads. So like whenever you run organic ads, you do want to highlight the deals and the details, but you don't just give out the name of the apartment on the ad, okay, until you make contact. So once you have someone on the phone, then you can tell them the name, tell them what street it's on. It's full disclosure after you have someone on the phone. But when you run your ads, you don't want to tell them just the name because you don't want them to go look it up and like drive by themselves. So that's how you would do organic ads. But I also kind of split test a different ad type where I just tell people on an ad exactly how I can help them and that I'm a locator and that they should contact me before they go search so I can make sure they get the best deal. So there's kind of like there's two types of advertisements. There's ads on behalf of the apartment details, hide the name until you talk to them. And then there's like what you do as a locator and just have them book a call with you anyways as a general service based ad. They both work. And honestly, for paid advertisements, I do the general service more. I'm just like, "Hey, what's up? If you're looking to rent in 60 days, what my company does is we help you for free and we're going to make sure you're going to get the best move-in special. So don't go waste time on apartments.com or Google. Just book a call. It's free and we'll land you in the perfect apartment." So that's like my whole ad that I just said off the top of my head. That's like the ads I use for paid advertisements. And then people just book and then it's so much easier on Zoom. Oh my God, like once you start doing Zoom calls and start getting into profitable paid ads over just like Facebook Marketplace, you will prefer the Zoom calls. It just takes locators like the locators that have been making 6 figures doing like Marketplace or Craigslist and working everything over their phone. For some reason, we see it's hard for them to like adopt a whole new practice because they're like, I just want to call people. And it's hard to break them out of that habit. But like I swear, once you do a Zoom call, you will never want to go back to a manual call. Okay. So you have to understand that like locating is generally easier in real estate. It's generally an easier sales job, but you still have 2 types of leads. You've got like cold strangers from Marketplace or Craigslist or Nextdoor. And then you have people that like they saw your YouTube ad, they saw your survey, they booked a Zoom call with you, they saw your VSL. So by the time they show up to that Zoom call, they already know so much about you that those are way warmer leads and they're way easier to close. And then those people never forget to write your name down, or when you actually follow up with them, they actually pick up because you gave them your time on a 15-minute Zoom call, and they saw what you looked like. So those leads tend to like respect you more as a professional when they can see you on Zoom, because now you're a real person. You're not just like a weird call. So like Zoom is always better. And what we've noticed is that it's just hard for those seasoned locators to somehow transition over to Zoom because they just want to pick up the phone and make six figures, right? But when you work with Zoom, you can do multiple six figures. So like a locator that does 120, let me give you an exact example, all right, from like a case study from someone in our program. We had a locator join. He was making 120K working full-time manually. When we transitioned him finally into doing Zoom, putting, $1,000 a month into ads, and then scaling up the Zoom, he went from like 120K a year to 200K a year, but then enjoyed his job more because there's less ghosting, there's more respect because it's a Zoom call. So it is important to like eventually transition. All right. So the flow is like, you're a brand new locator. Okay, fine. Use Craigslist, use Nextdoor, use Facebook Marketplace, upload the little video. Fine, do that. But once you start making some income, slowly transition into better infrastructure and then doing Zoom calls. It's the only way to make more money, right? There's kind of like a ceiling. Like if you work manually as a locator, there's kind of like 140K like ceiling where it's just hard to go past that. Unless you have like just consistent booked Zoom calls, then you can go past the ceiling, right? Okay. Other than that, I just finished answering all of the Skool student questions. So now that those are prioritized and answered, then let me go into the comments, and then I think I'll wrap this up. Let's see here. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, Laura? How are you? All right, let's see. Depends on the state. Yep, you have to have it in Texas. Yeah, you have to be licensed in Texas. Laura is correct. All right, where are you based at? Austin, Texas. What's up, Harry? How are you? Are you mainly remote? Yeah, man, 100%. I work remote. Can't you see my setup? Of course I work remote as a locator. I got a Shure mic. That's how you know I really work remote. I got a Shure mic. How do you ever know if they list your name if you don't tour with them? Oh yeah, you just call and ask them. So whenever I follow up a lot using IQ. Should I show you the IQ pipeline? Maybe I'll just share my screen and show you. Let me show you how I do this. But to answer your question, Felix, the way I work exclusively is I'll run like a paid ad to my Zoom. So like these people just see me. Like imagine this is the call right now, right? You see how you can see me? Like I bet you trust me a little more because you can see me. It's the same thing with your clients on Zoom. So like because my clients can see me and they see my surroundings, that like I'm a real human with a mic and I'm set up, like those leads respect you more, and then follow up becomes easier. So it's not really hard for me to just follow up with my clients. We already did a Zoom call, they respect me more, and then I can just follow up right before they tour, and I follow up after, and they know who's calling them, right? So I can just call them and say, how did it go? And then I'm reminding them before their tour to write my name down anyways. And so is my infrastructure. When they open up the list, there's like that pop-up that comes up that reminds them anyways to write my name down. So it's really easy to follow up with your clients if you're like doing real Zoom calls as well. But to answer your question, Felix, you just ask them, if they remember to write your name down, or sometimes you can just call the property directly and they'll tell you if you're listed on the app. So just don't overthink it. What's up, Chaz Martinez? It's been a while. How are you doing? Can you break down how to do 20 plus clients per month? Yeah, for sure. One time I did 44. Can you believe that, Chaz? I did 44 move-ins 1 month. Let's see here. So how do I do 20 plus clients per month? What does that look like in lead gen and actually having to escort clients? Yeah, I don't escort clients anymore. A lot of realtors in my company have this amount of rentals. How? Okay. So the way that I can do 20 or 40 like leases in a month is because I work remote. There's absolutely not a chance in hell that I could do 20 or 44 move-ins if I escorted. I mean, there's just not enough time in the day to drive people around for 3 hours for one chance. So you're not going to do 20 or 40 move-ins if you escort your clients. It's impossible to do that. But if you work remote, then you can, because like, in the 3 hours it takes for you to waste time driving around and showing buildings for one client, I can get through 10 calls, right? So that's like 10 chances over your one chance. So that's how you do those crazy numbers as a locator, is by like having infrastructure, working remote, and like focusing on working remote, right? So first off, you have to understand you can't escort and do 40 move-ins. That's impossible. Okay. Now, sort of how that looks like is you just need organization, Chaz, to you need a system to remind you on what to take action on the following day. That's the biggest takeaway. So Chaz is asking us, like, how do you really do 20 clients a month on average? You have to have, you're going to close 10%. All right. So if you want to close 20 people in a month, then you need to generate 200 leads, right? Out of the 200 leads, and leads are either booked calls or like replies on Marketplace that someone's interested in the apartment. That's considered kind of like a lead. So you need 200 leads, whether they're from Marketplace, Craigslist, social media, it doesn't matter, but 200 of them. And then you're going to basically close 10% if you're just like a normal locator. Some really good locators close like 20%. But regular people close like 10%. That's very conservative. So if you have 200 leads or replies in a month, then you can close 10%. The reason that you can is because it's a free service. It's not like we're selling anything for money. Okay. Now, if you were to do Zoom calls, now your closing rate can be 30 to 50%. So first off, like, understand the difference in how many people you're going to close based off those two protocols. So if you're like every other locator that's working on their cell phone, yeah, you'll probably close 10%, maybe 20% if you're just really good at talking to people. But once you shift over to Zoom calls, you can close anywhere from 30% to 50 sometimes, just because it's so much more personal and easier and people respect you more and stuff, right? So understand that. But to get the 20 clients on average, you have to do like 200 leads, close 10%, and that's your 20 right there. Okay. I'll show you the process of how I organize this in IQ in just a moment. Chaz, I'm going to share my screen and show you like what the pipeline looks like, because if you're working 200 leads in a month, that's a lot of little client contact cards that float around. So the problem is that, like, when you boot up your laptop every day and you see 200 clients in your pipeline, you're going to get overwhelmed. You're like, I don't know who to prioritize with. So you have to have infrastructure that like at least highlights the contact card a color. So I'll show you this in a moment. I'll help you put it in a perspective. Okay. I'm glad I answered Felix's question. Hold that thought, Chaz. I'll come right back to you. Sunny, what's up, Sunny? How are you? Do I have to be licensed to do this? Yeah, you do. You do everywhere except for Colorado, but even in Colorado, you're just better off getting your real estate license. So basically, yes. What's up, Tiffany? How are you? What would you recommend for someone to get started quickly without a paid ad budget? Get into our Skool community. That's our most affordable offer, and just run through the crash course. We used to sell our crash course for like $1,500. Now it's free in the Skool community. It's literally like, you still have to pay for the Skool community, which is $67 a month, but it's our low ticket like entry offer that we run ads with. So if you get into the Skool community, just go through the crash course, and you will do your first 3 leases, right? Which are worth 2, 4, 6, right? So if you do 3 leases through the crash course, 2, 4, 6K, that's worth the $67. That's how you do that. If you want to avoid ads, just do organic only. Use Marketplace, Nextdoor, Craigslist with the auto poster. Those 3 platforms alone will get you your first few wins. Okay. What's up, Kayla Choi? How are you? I was chatting with you earlier today. If I'm an independent locator here in Colorado without a real estate license, how do I send in an invoice without a broker W-9 E&O? Exactly. So yes, Colorado, you can do the job without a real estate license. However, it requires more explaining back and forth with the property. So you could just go generate a general, like, I don't know, Google invoice template, or just create a template through Smart Locating the database and download it as a PDF. So you could have that set up, and then you email the property, but then you have to explain to them, hey, I'm not really licensed, but you don't need a license for apartment locating in Colorado. So that's why I always recommend getting licensed regardless, because it's just a lot easier. A lot of apartments like think that you have to be licensed before they pay you, but in Colorado you technically don't, but you still have to explain to the property that they should pay you anyways. So, I mean, you could like take a screenshot of the language from DORA, the Department of Real Estate and Agriculture, attach it to your email, send the invoice, and we have been paid like that as well. Like, I've done that actually, but I didn't like how I had to re-explain something to a building before I got my commission check. So that's why I'm like, even though Colorado lets you work without a license, technically, just get licensed anyways, because collections are just a lot smoother, if that makes sense. Okay. So, hey, yes, I can believe it. LOL, Chaz. How do you get around having to escort? Should I hire a touring agent? No, 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 don't do that. We are required to escort in Chicago. It's funny, even some buildings in Texas require escorting, but we have this strategy that we teach where you're explaining why it benefits all three party. Like, I'll just run through this video lesson with you guys for free, because a lot of people think that you have to escort with locating. So before I get into the teaching this, you have to understand, some properties let you send clients remote. Some properties say that they require you to tour with them. Okay. You can still get paid when you send your clients to properties that require you to escort. You can still get paid. And we have hundreds and hundreds of examples where we've been paid even though we just sent the client over. Okay. There's basically two ways to solve this. The first way you solve it is you just call the property ahead of time before your client shows up, and you ask and you say, please. It literally works half the time. A lot of the times I'm like, hey, I'm touring someone, but I'm sending someone right now, but I'm in Round Rock. Is it cool if they just show up? Because I took the initiative and called them before. They're like, all right, Pierre, just send them through, and you just get paid anyways. That's like the basic way that you can get paid, even if you don't escort, right? I'm in Georgetown. This is in South Austin, but they're qualified. Can I send them? Okay, fine, right? That's the basic way. The second way that works more and that works better is if you use this template and this Loom video template that we provide. And it basically is a concise email explaining the benefits of all three parties involved in the transaction. So we have like a convincing persuasion email where I'm like, hey, look, this is why at our company we do not escort clients, and we work remote exclusively. And then you explain the reasons, and you go, number one, your own staff prefers that we send our client, so that way we don't do their job for them. We've gotten this feedback by almost every apartment we've ever surveyed. Your own leasing agents prefer that we stay at home. They just want the qualified client. We make that point in the email. Then we go, point number two, or party number two. The client prefers to be escorted around by one licensed leasing professional, not two breathing down their neck, like trying to make them apply. So we explain that obviously in better vocabulary or vernacular that I'm using now on this live, but we explain to them like the client feels more comfortable when it's just your staff giving the tour and not a staff and an agent following them around, breathing down their neck. So we go, it's important to the client that we don't show up. And then the third reason that we give is we're like, us as real estate professionals, we can effectively help and support more productive members in our society, more quantity, if we can work exclusively from home. We can get through 10 phone calls instead of one client driving around for 3 hours. That's also dangerous. When someone follows you, more accidents happen. So we explain that in an email and in a Loom video. So like the students that join our program, we give them that email template and the Loom video explaining the same thing. And so the Loom is just like a quick 1.5 minute video. And it's just like we hire a spokesperson on Fiverr to do this, so it looks good. And they're just like, hey, what's up? Yeah, I know that you guys require escorting, but like these are the 3 reasons that we don't as a company. And hopefully you guys can respect that. And we go, number 1, your own leasing agents don't want us to show up. Number 2, the clients feel more comfortable. Now there's not 2 professionals breathing down their neck. Number 3, we can effectively help more people in our city find suitable housing if we can work remote. Because now we can help 10 clients, not just one all day. And we go, because of these reasons, we exclusively work remote. However, we don't want to, we want to make sure that you understand we're still putting in the work. So here is the recorded Zoom link. And then we email them the Zoom appointment so they can actually see us do the work and convince them to go to their apartment. And so guys, when you send that email over, a Loom video and the recorded Zoom, I get paid on commissions, even if the apartment required me to escort, like 75% of the time, because they read it and they're like, okay, that makes total sense. It's better for our staff. It's better for them. They can help more people as an agency. And number 3, most importantly, it's better for the client. They have a better experience. So a lot of the times they just agree with us. And they'll reply and they'll go, yeah, that makes sense. All right, we'll pay you on this. And then even if they don't want to pay you on that moving forward, we've gotten replies from property managers where they're like, hey, look, we read your email and your little Loom video. That does make a lot of sense. However, like our managers, they still require us for you to escort. So what we'll do is we're going to pay this one because the email made sense. We'll pay you on this one, but going forward, we would ask you to escort. So the problem is, even though you're not going to change their policies, you can still get paid, And then, like, it's not like I lease at the same apartment every single time. Sometimes I lease at an apartment once. So I just send all my clients, no matter what, to the property from home. And if I ever get pushback, I just send out that email template and that Loom video, and it works like 75% of the time. This doesn't really affect my income, So that is the long answer for that. You're welcome, Kayla, for the answer. Okay, let's see here. How do you feel when other agents have a good month how do you feel when other agents have a good month and you don't? I get frustrated by that. Yeah, that's a good question, actually. GPS Global, I like your name. That's actually a really good question. And sometimes, like, the agents that top produce also get hate because then their other colleagues are like, I don't know, they're jealous or something. But the thing is, I just wouldn't worry so much about the opinions of others. And first off, it's easier for me to say that because I work remote, right? Like, I don't have to deal with 12 other agents in an office anymore. But I remember I used to come back and I would like try to get everyone excited. I'd be like, I just closed 2 people today, and then other agents would close no one. And so, I quickly stopped doing that because I thought that would excite my office and motivate, but then a lot of people get jealous and they're like, I hate this guy. So you quickly realize that depending on the culture of your brokerage firm, sometimes it's better to just be more reserved and don't be braggy. But also, if you see someone that's winning, don't get jealous. Just ask them what's working for them, right? But really, the answer is just like have good infrastructure, organize well, and then just make it a habit to just follow up with people. Just remind yourself at the end of the day, like you're not asking anyone for money. You just want to get better at being more natural at talking to strangers, coming from a place of adding value and just helping them find an apartment that might offer a better deal. So if you can kind of like get better at being natural over the phone, you just will close people. So don't worry so much about like other people's results or anything, and also don't brag about your results a lot. It's better to be reserved. But at the end of the day, it is easier for me to answer that because I work exclusively remote, so I don't have to deal with it anymore. Follow up is key. Yeah. Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick, and let me show you guys something real quick. Let's see here. Hello, hello, hello. Add to stage. I'm going to show you how's your automated follow-up system. Yeah, I'm getting to that right now. I'm getting to that. Let me show you my system right now for follow-up, and then I'll wrap up this call since it's over. I'm expecting company as well. I bought one of those Murphy bed. You guys know the Murphy beds? I just found out what the hell a Murphy bed was like 6 months ago. And I realized it was like furniture because my guest bedroom is like obviously smaller than my master. And like we couldn't fit a lot of stuff in there. And then I just found out what a Murphy bed was. And so I ordered one. It just came in here today. And so it's like a piece of furniture where like you can open up space in your bedroom and just like drop it down. So I just found out what a Murphy bed was, even though I'm in real estate. And I'm going to go put it up. So I bribed my buddy to come out here. I'm like, yo, come help me install this thing because my girlfriend won't. She just won't do manual labor. She refuses. And so I called my buddy earlier, and I was like, hey, man, I'll grill for you out here. And let's see if I can show you. I was like, yo, dude, we're going to go out there and grill, and I'm going to feed you and pay you $100. Just come help me install this Murphy bed. So he's on his way. He'll be here any minute. So let me quickly show you my follow-up system using IQ, and then we'll wrap this up. Great space saver. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for this. And then we'll do the custom shelves like eventually. Okay. Murphy beds are cool. Yeah. All right. One sec. Add to stage. Okay. Let's see. Let me remove this. Well, I don't know if you can hear me if I make it full screen. Can someone comment to see if they can hear me? In 3, 2, I'm going to say something. In 3, 2. Did you guys hear me? All right. I'll leave it like this. Okay. All right, let's go into Locator IQ. No, thanks, Felix. Okay, so how about now though? Can you hear me now? Uh let's see. All right, well, I'm gonna assume that you guys can hear me. So can you hear me now? Okay, good. All right. So now let's go over to IQ and one sec. One sec here. All right, let me really quickly go to dashboard. Okay, so I'm not showing contact info. And let's just go into the dummy account. One sec here. All right. This is going to really help you guys put this into perspective on like how I follow up, right? Because you guys have heard me talk about, oh, I do like 20 to 40 client move-ins. I'm going to show you the only way that I can do 20 to 40 client move-ins. Like without infrastructure, there's absolutely no way I could do the numbers that I would do when I decide to be a full-time locator for the month. Okay, so it all goes down in IQ pipeline. I suppose you could use other CRMs as long as they have like a real pipeline system, which some don't. Okay, that's why a lot of agents will do Trello for this, but Trello is just basic. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. Let's see here. Okay, so IQ pipeline, right? These are just test cards. Now, try to imagine this. We're gonna go over to the locator leads pipeline. Okay, so I can basically configure IQ You see where it says catch all here? It says like new leads catch all. So this means when you go through the settings and just like setting up your IQ so that way you connect your Facebook and your Instagram and like your email and phone and everything, the catch-all works with an automation down here, but we're not going to go so far into automations because that'll take like an hour and get really nerdy. But the kind of like the overview, the bird's eye view, is once you set up IQ properly, if someone calls your number or texts you or sends you an email or sends you a Facebook or Instagram DM, it's going to count that person. It's going to create a card. So right now we're just using me as the dummy card. It's going to create the contact, organize them neatly in this stage, and these are all of your leads. So first off, it's nice to just be able to see all your leads coming from anywhere in one place. Okay? Now, if you're using organic methods and you're like using Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or some, I don't know, some unorthodox method, then you can still hit add opportunity and you can just type in and put in the lead manually. So it's really important to either add the lead manually or configure your CRM to just recognize all of these client cards. So the first thing is like organization. Okay. Now, if someone books a Zoom call, they might not all do, especially when you start off, you might not be doing Zoom calls. But if someone does book a Zoom call, the system will automatically move your client card here into booked Zoom call. So it's really nice to see, okay, these are all the people. Imagine 100 of these client cards. So I'm going to click this button up here and I'm going to go full screen. So it's nice to be able to see like the new leads that are coming through here, all the leads that have booked the Zoom call here. And then once they actually attend the Zoom call or you do a manual call, the system will automatically move the card here into attended call. Okay, so first off, it's really nice to see the life cycle stages that all your leads are actually in. That's going to be really, really important. Okay, and then once you kind of like do the call, you see how here it's that we remind you like, okay, they attended the call, now send the list, right? Once you do the call, you're going to continue to follow up with them here. Now, this is where follow up becomes super important. Okay, I'm going to stack this other test client right under here. All right. Imagine that you have like you're looking at 2 right now. Imagine if you had 100 or 200 leads for the month in your pipeline. It gets really overwhelming to try to remember what to prioritize. And so as long as you're kind of like going in every single time you make contact with a lead, as long as you're making a habit of clicking into the card and creating a task. So your task could be like, let's see, call to follow up. And then you put a description here and you say, just called them. They want to tour 9520 in Cedar Park again, right? I should call them in 2 days to remind them, right? I do this all the time. I'm constantly making tasks. So now I'm like, all right, great. I just called them. They want to go tour 9520 again. I'm just going to set a quick task for 2 days in the future this Friday. And I'm going to remind myself at like 10 a.m. to do this. And then what I'm going to do is assign it to myself. Boom. And now I'm going to hit save, right? So once I hit save, I'm getting into a habit of constantly reminding myself what to do next right when I make contact. So like if I did that 12 times in a day, the following day I'm going to have a really hard time remembering what I need to do next. But if you're using IQ, once you start approaching the task due date, if you have to do something or take action within the same date, then IQ is going to highlight them red. You see how this card is like highlighted red and it says this task is due now. Okay. If the task was due tomorrow, the following day, it would have highlighted them yellow. Right. So this actually becomes really powerful, and it helps me do 20 or 40 move-ins a month, because once I have 100 leads for my 100 or 200 leads for the month, I'm not like scrambled all over the place. I can quickly take a bird's eye view, pull up my pipeline, and go, oh my God, there's like 200 people in here. I don't know what to focus on today. And I can just really quickly just scan with my eyeballs and look at anyone that's red. And I go, oh crap, John is red. That means I have to do something today. And I go into the task. I'm like, what did I even write here? I forgot already. And it says, call back in 2 days and see if they're approved. I go, great. So I'm going to go to opportunities, and I'm going to call them real quick. Hey, what's up, John? Did you get approved? Right? And so now I know what to do. And if John did get approved, I'm going to drag them to applied, and then I'm going to drag them to approved. Right? And so this is how I'm staying organized. And if a client card is like gray, I know that it's not that important. I'm like, okay, I got time on this guy. He doesn't even have a color. So I don't need to do anything today, right? But if I see a card, let me show you this in real time. Like if we change this task and we changed it like to the following day, so once time progresses, let's move this over to like tomorrow, okay? So I would just hit refresh, and then one sec. Let's let IQ refresh, and I'm going to see him become yellow. You see how he's yellow? So this means that I have to do something tomorrow. So it is coming up, but it's not as urgent as if someone was red. And so this is like the only reason that I can do 20 or 40 leases as a full-time locator is when I can visually in like a few seconds pull up my pipeline, look at like 200 leads, and not forget what I need to do. So, because there's no other way you can do this when you're working 200 leads in a month. That's a lot of leads. And so this is how you can stay on top of everything, right? Is you come in here, you look at the yellow. If there's no red, then you look at the yellow. If there's no yellow, well, then you have time. So then I work on marketing, right? And as soon as someone turns yellow or red, I'm taking action right away, right? I'm going in here and I'm reminding myself what to do. This is the only way that you can have really good follow-up. And so now Chaz's question was like, but what about ghosting though? She was like, what about if they ghost you? So like in a perfect world, you would follow up with all the color people. Like this one's yellow, you go follow up. But what if they don't pick up, right? So if they don't pick up, what you need to do is, this is our protocol. This is what we teach for collections. We do double call text. So I'll call John twice in a row, because nowadays people, unless they saved you as a contact, no one's going to pick up the phone the first time. So you call them twice, because if you call them twice, it's going to seem more urgent, and it's okay to do that. Just don't call people like 4 or 5 times in a row. That becomes like harassment at that point. But call twice. If they don't pick up, text them. Okay. Now, if John Smitherman is ghosting me and I just couldn't reach him today, I'm going to follow up every other day. So I'm not going to follow up tomorrow. He might have had a busy day. I'm going to give him that full day. So every other day, I follow up with him. But if he's ghosting me, I'm going to create another task. And I'm going to say, no reply, call back soon. And I'm going to say, no reply today, call back soon. And I'm going to follow up like Saturday. That's every other day. Okay. I'm going to set this to 10 a.m. and then I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Right. And so even if he doesn't answer, I'm going to create another task to call him in 2 days. That way the system can just visually show me in color what I need to prioritize on. All right. That's the standard of protocol with follow up. Follow up every other day, double call and text. Now, what happens if 7 days go by? Like the question that Chaz had is like, how do I defeat ghosting, and how long, when do I give up? Like, how long do I follow up with someone every other day until I can give up? And this is how IQ can automate that whole thing. Okay, one sec here. So we're going to go over to, now we're getting more advanced into the automations, but let me just show you this one real quick, then we'll wrap up the video. Also, our masterclass walks you through all of this in a much better way than me right now on live. Okay. All right. So we're going to go into automations, go into premium automations, and you see this ghosting automation right here that says ghosted, stop on reply 30 days. This is what we're going to turn on, and it's going to support all of your follow-up effort like tremendously. So the question someone had is like, when do I stop following up with someone? It depends on the days that you put in as your trigger. Okay, so it right here, we have a ghosting automation that's pre-built for everyone on IQ. And what this does is we're using this trigger called stale opportunities. So this will look in your pipeline. You see this? It goes in pipeline, locator leads, pipeline stage, attended call, duration 10 days. So I personally like to follow up manually for like every other day for 10 days max. And so what this is telling the system is like, hey, look, IQ is going to check into your pipeline. If you're following up every other day, on the 10th day, if that person has not replied to you, let's make that 10. It says if that person has not replied to you, it's going to yank them into this automation. So now they're in the automation because like John Smitherman is ghosting us, and it's been 10 days now. So it's going to automatically move them to the ghosted stage in my pipeline for me. So that car, remember the car that was yellow? It's going to move automatically to ghosted. That way you're keeping track of everyone that's currently ghosting you. So first of all, it's organization. And then it's going to send them a text. It's going to send them a voicemail. It's going to send them an email for 30 days. And the goal, if you go into the settings here, the goal is stop on response. So we're not going to spam anyone for 30 days, but it is going to text them for you, email them for you, voicemail drop for you for 30 days until they reply one time. And if that client replies one time, well, then you effectively defeated ghosting. So then the automation turns off. And so, if you think 10 days is too long, all you got to do is click in here and just do 7 or something, and then change the title to 7 and then hit save. And so now the system will do what we just walked you through if someone is not replying to you in 7 days. I like 10 days though. So it just depends on what you want. So to help you put this into perspective now, okay, you've got all your leads neatly organized in this pipeline here. Okay, if they book a Zoom call, boom, they're automatically here. If they attended the call, boom, they're automatically here. Okay, if you are building a habit to keep on creating tasks every time you make contact, you'll always be organized, even if you have 100 leads or 200 leads or 500 leads in your pipeline. And then you're allowing the color labels to remind you on how to take action. Okay, if I'm following up with John Smitherman every other day, and I'm double calling and texting, and he's ghosting me, eventually in 7 days, the system will go, nope, he's ghosting you, and it'll take the card and it'll move them automatically into ghosted. You see that? So you don't have to do that manually. The system does. And so this helps you really become organized over time if you're building the right habits on how to use IQ, because you'll see like, wow, these are all the people that are currently ghosting me. And I know that I have an automation that's automatically going to communicate with them for 30 days, right? And if they reply, well, now they're out of ghosting. So congratulations, you just defeated ghosting. And so then that's kind of like my protocol is I follow up every other day. I'm just getting into a habit of creating tasks on every single time I make contact. So I'm not missing out on what to do. I'm looking at the colors to stay really, really organized. And then that's basically it. If they ghost me, they're going to appear here. My system is going to take over anyways. And then all is well. So that's how I like organize everything, defeat ghosting, and then close like 20 people or 40 people in a month. It's all about having good organization, and it's all about working remote, ideally through Zoom calls. Okay. So that kind of answers that. What else is there to talk about? Oh, if you guys were wondering what's in the ghosting automation, it's just a bunch of enticing offers and stuff. So like, if you're wondering like what we actually say to people in the ghosting automation, um here the first text is like social proof. So it's like, hey, what's up, John Smith? We got our last client like 1 month free. Like, look, 2 months free at Citizen House. I can send you some great options. Which neighborhoods are you considering? So you always want to leave your automation text and emails as an open-ended question, so that way there's a reason for them to reply. Don't just like say statements to people, they'll never reply to you. So that's like the only big takeaway is if you're creating a ghosting automation or just using the one that we have pre-built for you, just make sure that you're ending all of them, all the steps like text message, as an open-ended question. So let's run through this example. Okay. Hey, John Smith, great news. My last client, Tammy, just saved over $2,000, 1 month free, thanks to the apartment I found her. She's absolutely thrilled with her new place. I can find you something similar. Are you still looking for a place? So I'm always ending as an open-ended question. Okay. And then they reply to you like, oh, yeah, I'm actually still looking. Boom, they defeated ghosting and the automation stops. Right. So just imagine that, but like for 30 days. And just all kinds of creative offers and messaging that we put in there. So hopefully that was helpful. Okay, let's see here. Yes, Trello is basic. Yeah. Let's see. How do you configure the CRM to match with Locator IQ? Also, do you let independent agents use the IQ and brand it with their brand? Okay, let me get rid of this. Get rid of that. How do you configure the CRM to match Locator IQ? So Locator IQ is a CRM. It's an all-in-one CRM as well. So there's like a phone dialer, there's social media scheduling, there's everything in IQ. So if you're asking like how do you configure your own CRM to work with IQ, I don't think that would make a lot of sense. You just pick one or the other. So IQ is a CRM. Also, do you let independent agents use IQ? Yeah, for sure. Anyone can sign up to IQ. You don't have to be like our student or our agent, even though you probably should, because there's just better video. Like if you want to learn how to make the most out of IQ, the Masterclass is way better than like the example that I just walked you through, because we can like edit it and make it better and shorter. So yeah, the Masterclass will help you get the most out of IQ, but anyone can sign up. Let's see. Do you let people brand it with their brand name? No, we don't. Unless you ask me really nicely, and then I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you, GPS Global, because I like your name. We'll put GPS Global instead of IQ. But no, the answer is no. I hope that was helpful. The last thing I'm going to do before wrapping up is, one sec. The last thing I'm going to do is spam you guys with the testimonial.
Meet Lisa, a licensed broker in San Antonio who joined our Locator Academy, and she was able to increase her lease volume to 5 leases last month, and she's only getting better. Let's hear from Lisa.
Lisa Bates from San Antonio, Texas. I just wanted to give you a thumbs up on your course with apartment location. Dude, you knocked it out of the ballpark. I'm telling you, I have learned so much from your course from start to finish. I've been a broker in San Antonio since 1997, always done residential real estate, and about a year ago decided to go into apartment locating. I didn't know anything about it, but what a great job you have done at sharing all of your knowledge and expertise and just pouring into your students. I appreciate it. I signed 5 leases last month, so yay, I'm getting better. And I just want to say thank you again. Your support, I can message you. You are Johnny on the spot. You get right back to me with the answers that I need. So just want to tell you thank you. I'm looking forward to the next version and can't wait to, hopefully I get to meet you one day, because I'm in San Antonio. You're just up 35 from me. But again, thank you. I know that you're changing a lot of agents' lives just by offering this course.
If they can receive results, then so can you. Tap the link below, take the next step, and we'll see you on the other side.
All right, cool guys. I hope you guys appreciated that Q&A. These are we do these Wednesday at 5 p.m. CST. So yeah. And then the last thing is, what's the last thing? That's it, really. I'll end it with this video. Hopefully that was helpful to you. Bye-bye. Hope you guys really enjoyed that live stream. We do them once a week, every single Wednesday, no matter what, but we do prioritize the questions from our actual paying Skool members. If you're not familiar with what we offer at NAL, we have 3 core offers. The first offer that we have is more of like an entry-level offer. It's the most affordable way you can get through the door with us, and that's access to our Skool community. So in that community, you get prioritized on the live Q&As. We actually give you our $1,500 crash course that we literally used to sell hundreds of times. That's free in the Skool community as well, for only $67 a month. And then you can still network with our other students that have joined our mid-ticket and high-ticket offers as well. Everyone's in the Skool community. So this is a really valuable way to join our community. It's only $67 a month. You get the $1,500 crash course in there and other mini courses, so you can see us close deals as a locator through Zoom and over the phone live. That's where we really put our money where our mouth is. We don't just teach in theory. We show you how we're actually closing deals, okay? So that's our entry offer. The second offer we have is like our real masterclass called ALM. That's the Apartment Locating Masterclass. And this is our mid-ticket offer. It's like $2K. And then the highest package of support that we have is the True Locator Academy. We're using the same digital course as the flagship masterclass, the ALM. So that $2K course is what we're still using, but it comes equipped with ultimate support. You get us on like 8 calls. The first call we do is like an hour and a half long. It's called the warm-up call to really give you guidance on how to attack the masterclass. And then you get us for 7 additional weeks live on Zoom, where we do group Zoom calls exclusive to our sponsored agents or other high-ticket students only. And so those calls are just much more valuable. That's our highest offer, and it's on an application-based process. So you can't just pay and get in. You have to actually apply, and we have to make sure that this industry is a good fit, because it's a high 4-figure investment, okay? But if you're on the fence, you don't really know what program to really choose, just do the most affordable offer. It's $67 a month. You can cancel whenever you want, and that gives you access to our main learning hub, and then you get prioritized on these live Q&As. So keep that in mind for next time. Join us next week on Wednesday. We're going to shoot for 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Show up next week, and we'll answer all your questions for free. See you later. Bye-bye.